everyone, and welcome back to today's new video. I hope you are having a lovely day. Today I literally was just running errands, so I'm not even wearing any eyebrow makeup, no contacts, nothing. I just at least look awake with my extensions on. As you can tell from the title of this video, I am here with my August wrap-up because it's now September, which seems crazy. It's getting cooler and cooler here in New York. I'm excited for fall. This year I realized that I really enjoy the cooler weather much more. I love my fall fashion. I really like my dresses and stuff, but I think I'm ready for myself not to be sticky anymore. Let's just get straight into it. I have my notes here. I believe I only read 9 books, but I do have 10 books to talk to you about. All of these books I did borrow at the library, so I'm gonna move on over it so we can get straight into the first book. Okay, so book number 1 was 5 Feet Apart. There's like 3 authors. It's Rachel Lippincott with Mickey Daughtry and Tobias Iaconis. I gave this book only 2 stars. This book was on my TBR for the reading rush. Follows Stella, who has cystic fibrosis and is really fighting to get a lung transplant, so she has to stay 6 feet away from other people with cystic fibrosis. And then there's Will, who is almost 18 years old, and as soon as he turns 18, he's ready to get out of the treatments and all of the hospitals. He's like over it. He wants to travel the world and do whatever he wants to. A love story happens. The romance develops there. I didn't really quite enjoy this book because I just thought it was so corny after the climax. The only thing that kept me going was imagining Stella as Haley Lou Richardson, who is the actress that plays Stella in the movie. There were just so many things going on after the climax that I kind of felt like disconnected to the whole story, and I just didn't feel for it at all. But my second book was Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I read book number 2, I believe. It's The Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. I'm not going to explain too much about what the plot of it is because I don't want to ruin the plot of the first book, but I gave this book 5 stars as I have been giving books so far. I really have been enjoying the series. I think it's really fun and exciting. I think that The Sea of Monsters, people see it as a little slow going, but I still really enjoyed the book. Number 3 was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, and I gave this book 4 stars. So this book takes place, it's historical fiction, and it takes place in France. Follows 2 sisters named Vian and Isabel. So Vian is married, she has 1 daughter and a husband, and they live in Carivaux, which I think is like the countryside or something like that. Unfortunately, Vian's wife gets drafted into the war and leaving their daughter and Vian behind. And of course, the Nazis come to occupy their little town, and a enemy comes to take over their home, so he like settles down there to live there basically. On the other hand, there's Isabel, who is Vian's younger sister. She's 18 and she's very passionate and very much a rebel. She wants to find purpose in her life, and the father is like this drunk, this alcoholic who doesn't really care for his daughters at all, so he doesn't really want anything to do with Isabel, who is left at home and sends her off to boarding schools and whatnot, but she really wants to get out of that. Once the Nazis come to occupy France, or especially Paris, which is where she's living, and she's realizing, oh my god, they're taking over my home, this is really happening. She wants to do something about it and decides to join the resistance. So it follows the stories of the 2 sisters who actually don't get along a lot too well and their relationship. Hearing about the contributions that women especially were playing in the war was really inspiring. It was really inspirational because even as women, they have everything thrown at them. Like, they really can't catch a break during this time of war. They're starving. They're trying to survive with like these dangerous men coming into their lives, and yet they persevered. Book number 4 was book number 3 within the Percy Jackson series, and that's The Titan's Curse by Rick Riordan. Again, I gave this book 5 stars. It was a more fast-paced than I liked, and I think I gave a pause between reading Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief series as well as the Grisha series or Grishaverse, because I wanted to buy them, but that has been put on pause as well. I really need to get back into a groove of reading because after the reading rush, I feel like I have just I'm all tuckered out. I've read everything that I can. Book number 5 was The Princess and the Fangirl by Ashley Poston. This is the second book in the Geekerella series. I believe that there is a third book that's coming out next year, I think. And I gave this book 3.5 stars. I very much enjoyed Geekerella. I think I gave that 4 or 5 stars, and so I was very much anticipating this book, which is why I only gave it, like, I feel like the expectations were very high for it, which is why I only gave it 3.5 stars. It follows Imogen, who is the fangirl. They call her Mo or Monster, and she is a huge fan of the Starfield series, and she really wants to save Princess Amara, who I think is about to be killed off in the series or something, so she starts a campaign called Save Amara. The princess, the actress who plays Princess Amara, really wants to get the hell out of this franchise. The kick is that Imogen and Jess look exactly alike, almost. They could definitely be mistaken for each other, and when someone leaks the script of the second Starfield movie, Jess needs to go undercover to really discover who it is that leaked it, and so Jess and Imogen need to trade places. This book was really fun because it is part of like a series. It's like a companion series, so the mention of the characters in Geekerella, Elle and Darian are mentioned, which I really liked. I thought that gives you like a little in on the story, so you don't actually need to know who they are, but especially if you liked Geekerella, like, why not read this book? There is a sapphic romance in The Princess and the Fangirl, which I really enjoyed because I had never read one before, so I do want to read more books that have like diverse relationships and people as well. The reason why I only gave it 3.5 stars though is because Geekerella was a romance to me. I feel like romance took a back seat in this book than it did with Geekerella, and so that's like not what I saw coming. There was a little bit of romance obviously, but I felt like what developed more out of it were friendships. Book number 6 was Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. This book is the second book in the Grishaverse, and I only gave it 4 stars. Not even, I shouldn't say like only. I just felt like because this series, or I guess is only a trilogy, the second book, Siege and Storm, was kind of predictable and just a stepping stone to seeing what would be the last stage of it. I really did like Mal, and Alina was getting so annoying, and I felt really bad for Mal. Like, I felt like Alina was getting so greedy and she wasn't really thinking clearly, and Mal was like kind of just left in the dust. Although I am really excited to finish this trilogy and to read other books by Leigh Bardugo because people are really enjoying Six of Crows, I feel like this entire series might just end up being a 4-star read for me, especially because somebody said that like, oh yeah, best series since Harry Potter, and it really isn't. My camera had cut out and I didn't realize just how much had been cut out, so here I am to mention to you book number 7, which was The Tailor by Leigh Bardugo. This is the novella. That means it is book 1.5 and it comes after Shadow and Bone and before Siege and Storm. It was a little confusing for me. I didn't even know that The Tailor existed, but it did really help to answer a lot of questions I had. The Tailor was told in the perspective of Genya, and I didn't give this book a rating because, if you know, with the Shadow Me series, I don't give any of the novellas any ratings. I just feel like they're too short to rate them, and I feel like it's more plot driven and it's more like information that I need to know. Book number 8 is This Time Will Be Different by Misa Sugiura. This book follows CJ, who is Japanese American, and she is looking for some passion in her life. She's trying to just going through it, not really knowing what she wants, which is really different from her type A mother who is like all about ambition. So CJ is just, I guess, killing her time helping her aunt Hannah work at her flower shop. She has a knack for it. Her aunt really is into the whole like, oh, all these flowers have meanings things, and CJ really is actually good at that. She doesn't know if she believes it, but there you go. Turns out that the flower shop is a family flower shop and it actually isn't doing really well, and so CJ's mom decides to sell the store. However, the people that she is going to sell it to is this huge like family within their town. CJ's grandfather was basically tricked into selling his flower shop years ago to the same family after the Japanese people were sent to internment camps during World War II. The reason why they were tricked, like, that'll all be explained, but basically he was sold the store to the family for a really like cheap price, and eventually after he got out of the internment camps he had to buy it back for like 30 times the amount or some like absurd number. CJ's really mad about that. Hannah is really mad. Her aunt Hannah is really mad about that. But the thing is, CJ's mom like doesn't really give a shit about this family rivalry that she thinks her sister made up. CJ's mom like doesn't even care so much that she actually works for these people in her current job. And then CJ realizes that she doesn't want this family, this giant corporation, to buy her family shop. Like, she finally found something that she was really passionate about and decided to fight for the truth and like expose the truth to everyone in the town. This book, the concept of it, I was very excited about. Although I am first generation American, meaning that my sister and I are the first in our family to ever be born in America. Like, our parents immigrated here. That means my ancestors are all from Japan. Like, I have no family in America. I still feel like learning about the history of Japanese people in America is important, because as an American, but also like even though my family is only from Japan, I feel like it's really important to know about Japanese people everywhere. I did enjoy it, but the reason why I only gave it 3 stars was because I was hyped up so much in my mind and it didn't quite meet those expectations, sadly. Book number 9 was Heart of the Matter by Emily Giffin. This book was also on my TBR list for the reading rush. I never got to it. It also came really late from the library, but anyway, I really enjoyed this book. So this book is told in dual perspective following Valerie and Tessa. Val and Tess. And these two women lead very separate lives. Val is a single mother of Charlie and she's working as a lawyer, and Tess has this amazing surgeon husband who I think I said was a plastic surgeon in my TBR, but he's not. He's just a regular like pediatric surgeon. And she decided to quit her job, I think as a teacher, to take care of her kids. They have 2 kids together. There is a tragic accident that actually pushes them together, and that's what the story is about. It's told in 2 perspectives. Tessa's was told in first person and Val's was told in third person. So even if you couldn't tell like the different voices, you could tell like the writing styles were different. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I really can't give away. I couldn't decide if I wanted to make it 5 stars, but it might actually be 4.7. I don't know. Okay, but still, I couldn't choose between the 2 women. I really can't tell you what the accident that brings them together is, because that would kind of like ruin the story, I guess, or it didn't in the blurb, so I don't want to hear. It really kind of forces you to choose between the 2 women, which was very hard for me because it's told in dual perspective. So I feel like Emily Giffin was trying to do that, and I really felt for both of these women because I was reading really in depth about both of their lives. Like, if it was just told by Tess, then obviously I would be on her side because I know more about her. But then I was also hearing Val's side, and I know that like, oh my god, I can't even talk about it. But with this series, I've read a couple books by her before, but I'm definitely now, after having read Heart of the Matter, I'm very interested in reading more of Emily Giffin's books. Lastly, my book, the 10th book, but also not for August, was Where'd You Go Bernadette by Maria Semple. I freaking DNF'd this book, okay? First of all, this book was also on my TBR for the reading rush. I'm sure you all know what this book is about because now it's a movie and people were reading it. And when I picked it for the reading rush, I saw that the booktubers that I follow on Goodreads had very mixed reviews about it as well. So I don't want to just rely on those because everybody has different preferences. But this book, it was interesting because it's told within like emails and like text conversations, I think, and like newsletters from the school. And then the only other perspective was from B's perspective, as like Bernadette's daughter. It was just too slow going for me. I kind of was like, okay, where's the part where Bernadette leaves and everyone's like, where'd you go? And I was just getting really fed up with it, and it was almost the end of the month and I was like, I'm not gonna be able to read 10 books, which is like crazy, but I felt like I had this deadline. Also this year I was realizing that I really should be DNFing books. I don't want to be wasting my time on them. Maybe more when I'm back within my reading groove I will get back to it, but for right now I DNF'd it because I just was too impatient. And that is all the books that I read. I felt like I wasn't explaining everything really well. I feel like this was all really short. I know I was saying that, oh, 9 books isn't a lot, and that's a decent amount, I know it is, but after having read 20 books in July, I feel like exhausted myself, and especially since I'm not going back to school, I don't have the 2 hours on the train every day to read. I really have to carve out that time for myself, and I feel like I'm not getting a reading groove that I'm interested in, which is why I get Restless and DNF, books that I'm like relatively interested in. It was also due at the library soon, so that might have had something to do with it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know what books you were reading for August and what you plan to read for September, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!